Young Israel of Brookline, YIBrookline.org.
Starting. What? You're ready? What? We're good? Okay, great. Okay, so we were, here, let's see. So we were in the middle of Perek Bet of Nehemiah. I won't say the book of Nehemiah, but whatever. Nehemiah. Okay, so last time Nehemiah, got the bad news. He got really excited. He asked the king Artaxerxes to go. Artaxerxes gave him permission, gave him letters, gave him an armed escort, and Nehemiah was on this mission to finally fully rebuild Yerushalayim. Okay, so last time he sort of had left on the journey. He hadn't quite reached Yerushalayim yet. So we're now up to Perek Bet Pasuk Yud. Vaishma Sanballat HaChoroni. So Sanballat HaChoroni from Choron. Vitovia HaEved HaAmoni. Now these are all leaders of other communities. So Vitovia HaEved HaAmoni. So he's an Ammoni. So HaEved, either that means it was a derogatory term, meaning maybe people called him the Eved. It wasn't really an Eved. Right, we'll see. He's like a comedian, or some say maybe it means he was the Eved, like he was like not Eved, well, Eved of a king, meaning he was like the it was a position, it was a title. Yeah, like exactly a royal aide or something. And that's but it definitely doesn't mean slave. So right, it definitely doesn't mean slave, unless it's like it was a term added that would call him the slave for some reason. But he was not a slave. Vayira lahem ra'agadola, and they were very upset. Asher ba adam levakesh tova livnei Yisrael, that there's this person coming. They heard there's this leader, charismatic leader coming to fight for the rights of the Jews, and that bothered them. That's not what they wanted. Okay, next pasuk. Now Nehemiah is talking again in first person. Va'avo el Yerushalayim. So I came to Yerushalayim. Va'ahisham yamim shlosha, and I was there for 3 days, just getting settled. And then after 3 days, va'akum laila, I got up in the middle of the night. Ani v'anashim ma'atimi, myself and some men with me. V'lo higadati la'adam, but I didn't tell anyone. Ma elokai notain el libi lasot Yerushalayim, what God had placed in my heart to do to or for Yerushalayim. Ubehema einimi, we didn't have any animals. Ki'im habehema asher ani rochepa, I was the only one riding an animal, and there's still a few other people walking with me. Va'eitzei b'shar Hagai laila, and I went out the Shar Hagai, the gate of Hagai, that's the valley. Okay, let's actually take out our maps. This map is from this sefer. Okay, I hope it's clear. So it's not that much clear in the book itself, but okay, so let's just look at this a little bit. Okay, so it's really nice. You can see like the topography and get a sense of like the hills and everything, right? So everyone see the Beis Hamikdash? That's like towards the right, right? Okay. Well, it was in the same place. Yeah, but I don't know if it's word that exact to scale here. But it was in the same location, right? So you can see it's on top of a mountain, Har Habayis. Now, in the days of David, okay, so the city, it might be easier if people look, was just this sliver, okay? And initially David and the old city of Yerushalayim that he conquered was only the bottom half of that sliver, okay? You can see, it's hard to see, but it says Ir David there. And then the top part, which is Har Habayis, initially David didn't conquer, it was only later, right? He buys it from Arnon Hayavusi, or whatever exactly his name, I don't remember his name now. It was just that sliver, okay? That narrow sliver on the right side. Then Shlomo enlarged it to this square. You see that the dark black line? And then we'll see in the days of Nehemiah, some of these maybe are slight approximations or guesses, but I think this would be more or less what people understand. And then Nehemiah, now when the wall is going to be rebuilt, it's going to be enlarged. And specifically this top part, it gets larger to the north. Okay, if people can follow all of that. So the initial wall
was this black line?
Which show me in Shlomo, yeah, meaning when the first temple. Correct. No, the city. Yeah, the city. This is the city. This is the whole city. Okay. I'm just trying to think if there's anything I want to point out right now. Okay, so he's going out Shar Hagai. That's, if you see, that's in the bottom left corner. Sorry, in the photocopy it's a little harder to read, but do people see that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay. So that's where he just said, I went out.
And does this have any relationship to Shar Hagai of today?
It's probably nearby, I don't know if it's the exact same, but you're going to see a lot of the gates of Yerushalayim, the same names we're going to see, we're going to appear here. So they are probably approximately the same place. Okay, so I'm in Pasuk Yud Gimel. They went out Shar Hagai, the El Panei Ein Hatanin, and we turned towards Ein Hatanin, so that's going to the right, like along the bottom of the wall of the city. Okay, all the springs are in like the bottom right corner. Okay, that's where the springs were. Okay, the El Shar HaAshpot, towards Shar HaAshpot, which is, it's a little hard to read, but that's in the bottom right corner. Okay, so he's walking along that wall. Now, Shar HaAshpot, by the way, there's a dispute why where the name comes from. Either like Ashpot is like mine, like garbage. Either it comes from that, like the garbage taken out that gate, or I forgot, it could come from like Safaz, like lip or edge. I forgot why. That some people think it's nothing to do with garbage, or something to do with like I don't know, the gate like on the edge of the city or something like that. Okay, then Va'ehi sover. What word do you have that? Are you following yours? Va'ehi. Yours. Yeah, so look in Pasuk Yud Gimel. I want to see. You'll see why I'm asking you. Yud Gimel. What's the phrase? Va'ehi. Then do you have a sin or a shin? Sover or shover? Sover, okay. So they're apparently, so Vahi Sover b'chamot Yerushalayim. So apparently there were two traditions or versions if this is a sin or a shin. Okay? You know, as exact as we were for preserving like the exact text of the Torah, the energy was devoted to preserving the exact text of the Torah. So there's just less energy to preserve in Nevi'im Ksuvim. And so there are many more, again, they're all minor, ambiguities or places where there are different traditions. But this does seem to be a place. So Rashi had a shin and read as shover. Shover means to break. So we'll see Rashi read that what Nehemiah did was he went out in the middle of the night, and we know the wall was already broken, right? That was part of the report that upset Nehemiah. And so Nehemiah is now going and secretly breaking the wall even worse to force the Jews to take on a campaign to fix the wall. Because it's so bad, the whole wall is falling apart, that they're gonna have no choice. That's his strategy. However, most have a sin, Vahi sover, and then it's a difficult word. But if you have a sin, it means something along the lines of I went to analyze or inspect. And it might be, according to some, it's related to the late word that like you find in the Gemara, like savar, sover, like with a sama, like or mari, but like to think or to change ways too. Why? If you find another difference? No, I'm just... Yeah. So, okay, so one of these two things, he shover, so he went to either break the wall or he went to just examine it. The walls of Yerushalayim. Asher haim prutzim, that again that were broken. Usha'araha uklu ba'esh, and the gates that had been burnt. people interested in the Shinson thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you something else really, really interesting. I just wasn't sure, like, if this is too, yeah.
So all these walls that are broken and the gates that were consumed by fire.
Yeah.
This is from the destruction, and they've been there how long? And they haven't repaired it because they're having problems with the non-Jews who live there.
Part of the non-Jews, part of they just don't get their act together. Again, many of the leaders have intermarried, so it's not like there's such strong leadership also. But yeah, so it's
So this is still the original destruction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was never repaired. Yeah.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
why is Nehemiah concerning himself with the outer boundary rather than the more integral parts of the city, which presumably would have a higher priority to be drawn attention?
I mean, so again, in the ancient world, the walls were very, very important. Practically, they're very important to be able to defend the city and so forth, and also sort of symbolically in terms of the pride of the city.
And to establish it as where the city is, the entity of the city is defined by the outer. All right, that's a really good answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you're right. Honestly, I have to think about more why it was so important, because it wasn't like there were enemy armies that were attacking her. That
But
doesn't seem
had
to
the
be
base of
issue.
Mikdash already been
Yeah, the
so
base of Mikdash had been rebuilt.
the altar was established.
Absolutely, for
So,
decades
all
now.
right.
Yeah, for a while now. Okay, so this is a really, an old version of Mikros Gedolos, similar to the one you're using. So I don't know if you've ever even noticed it. On the inside, so here we just said of the Psukim, and I don't know, Rashi, and Ezra, and so forth. And then in the middle, you have all these like letters and footnotes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is also some of a preview if you're going to be our Shavuos night for the Shir Shavuos night, but which will be very interesting. It's not, you'll see. This sounds a little technical, but so these are called Masorah notes. So they're very, very, very old. So when there are always people who are devoted to, again, preserving the exact text of the Torah and all of Tanach. And it's sort of the high point was the Masoretes in like the 8th, 9th, 10th centuries in Eretz Yisrael, and like the family that was the most famous and considered like the greatest family that are devoted to this was the Ben Asher family. And I think, we talked about the Aleppo Codex one point. Yeah. So I don't know how many people are familiar with like the Aleppo Codex. So that's what the Shir is going to be at Shavuos night. So Aleppo Codex is from like the 10th century, and that's considered like the most exact, copy text of Tanakh. So what these Bali Masorah did was they didn't just, very carefully copy Tanakhs, but there were all of these notes, right? It wasn't like there would be a Tanakh, and then there were like footnotes, and the footnotes would be, many words can be written Malay or Chasser, with above, without above, and it would say this is with. There would be a note to it, without above or with above, and things would be cross-referenced. So let's say like rare words would say this word appears only 4 times in Tanakh, this word appears 3 times in Tanakh, or this.
Like a gloss almost at the text. I mean, like a grammatical gloss or something.
Yeah, so I'll show you here. So, and the point of that was that also it's sort of like cross-references everything. So, even if someone will make a mistake, let's say you have someone who's being so careful to copy the Tanakh, but one letter out of hundreds of thousands of letters, they're gonna make a typo. But hopefully, you'll be able to detect there's a mistake by all like the cross-references because if let's say they make a mistake and write a word, let's say without above, and it should be above, but that same word, all the other places without above, it says in every place this appears 6 times without above, and then there'll be a 7th one, then you realize there's a mistake somewhere, and you'll be able to sort of trace back and figure out where the mistake was. Okay, so I don't know why we've stopped printing these Masorah notes in newer, fancier Tanakh, Mikros Gedolos, but they used to always be printed with them. So on our pasuk, which pasuk are we on again? Yud Gimel, right? So for example, on it's hard for you to see, but in the line that we're focused on, he sover b'chomot Yerushalayim. So there are 3 circles, which go to the inner margin. You see what I'm talking about, Jeff? So, at least in mine, they're circles.
Notes in the left.
Yeah, but I'm saying over the words, so you know which word the note is going to. So let's say on sover there's a circle. So that goes to the first note, which says bays. That means there are 2. This word appears twice in Tanach, and chet sam chaser, meaning it's not sover with a vav. You could have spelled sover sin vav that resh. Then bechomot. The next one is a chet chaser, meaning because bechomot could be with a vav at the end, but it's not, right?
Could it not be with like double chaser?
I guess so. Yeah, I'm not sure how you would note that, but yeah, you're right. Maybe it could be without it. And then the next one, Yerushalayim, and then if you see the note, there's a lamed, which stands for Aramaic for Leta, which means there is no other. So the way this Yerushalayim is spelled, because Yushalam, right? So apparently there's no other place in Tanakh where Yerushalayim is spelled exactly that way, with those vowels. Anyways, so I think so. I don't know. Maybe I'm misreading the note, but okay, let's not focus on. But anyway, so the bottom star is clearly not like Rashi, meaning because if it's shover to break there, that's a lot of places in Tanakh. So you see, so again, the dominant Masorah really is that it's sover with a sin, and it means to like investigate or to check. But again, apparently in Rashi's Tanakh it was a shin, and so he read as break.
Either way, his presence out there is drawing attention to.
Right. So either he's examining the broken walls to figure out what to do, or he's actually even breaking them further to force the Jews to do something. Okay. Pasuk Yadalid. V'avor el shar ha'ayin vel brechat hamelech, and then I went towards the gate of the spring, towards the pool of the king. So again, that's all like I have to find it, but in the bottom right corner, right, see shar ha'ayin, and okay, and those were the springs that were like sort of right outside the walls of the ancient city. And at that point, I couldn't get by on my animal. I mean, either because there's rubble or I don't know. It's just on the. It's a very narrow, so he had to get off. So they went up in the stream. Right, this is you see on the side Nachal Kidron. That's where there was a stream there. So I went up the stream at night, and again, Vahi Sover Bachoma. Again, I was checking. That's the second Sover. I was checking the wall.
So that's the only 2 places?
These are the only 2 places this word appears. That's correct. Yeah. Again, if it's with the sin. Right. Yeah. Va'ashuv avo b'shar Hagai, and then I went back to Shar Hagai, meaning he retraced his steps all the way back. Va'ashuv, and then went back into the city. So he's sort of examined the bottom and around the bottom right corner a little bit. Now the officials, no one knew where I went or what I was doing. V'la Yehudim, v'la Kohanim, v'la Chorim, v'la Skanim, and the Jews and the Kohanim and the higher officers, the lower officers, the Yasser Osei Hamlacha, and all the other professionals or people with responsibilities. Ad Kain, or that means like Ad Khan, Lo Higadzi. Until this point, I had not told anyone, what I was thinking or what my plan was. And then apparently he starts talking to people. If he gathers a crowd, or he starts talking to people individually. Va'omar alehem. Then I said to all of them, Atem ro'im hara'a asher anachnu ba. Do you see how bad of a situation we're in? Asher Yushalayim chareva. The Yushalayim is destroyed. Usha'areha nitzatu ba'esh, and its gates are burnt. L'chuv nivna et chomat Yushalayim. We must go and build the walls of Yushalayim. V'lo ni'a'od cherpa. We should no longer have this disgrace. So part of it maybe was out of pride.
Yeah.
Our capital city and so forth.
Those are the people in response to him. Or
No, this is him. This is him talking.
yeah.
Saying, look, we got to do this.
And who's he speaking to?
Just everyone, it sounds like.
Yeah.
V'agid lahem et yad Elokai asher hitov alai. I told them about how Hashem had made me successful. V'al divrei hamelech, and that the king, meaning Artaxerxes, the Persian king, what he had said and told me, given me permission, asher amali. Vayomer, so everyone says, Nakumu baninu. All right, let's do it. Let's get up and let's build the wall. Vayichazku yedeihem latova, and they were strengthened, they were encouraged. Any questions or comments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why does he make a big point of going out there at night?
So again, it seems like he doesn't want anyone to know what he's doing. So according to Rashi, he's breaking the wall.
Right, so that makes a
Right,
little
that makes
sense.
more sense. Yeah. And if it's not that,
Because inspecting at night isn't the best time.
yeah, that's also true. I guess if people would see what he was doing, I don't know, maybe he would, be arrested before he could.
Oh,
I don't know.
That makes sense.
Something.
With a candle, and so maybe he came out with a torch and.
No, he had his iPhone. Flashlight.
Yeah, but it seems like he had to do it secretly, right? That otherwise.
But then he goes and tells him.
Right. So I guess once he's, he's examining the wall and he's sort of thinking through the plan, and then once he's ready, then he, then he starts getting it together.
Well,
Maybe he was also checking to see, how bad really is it? Can we fix it? And then once he felt like he could do it, then he announces it.
Or also, maybe he went to inspect it, but perhaps wanted the people with whom he was speaking to think that the problem was plain as day, that they would think that when he rode up from Bavel, he just saw this destruction, so they would think it's a busha on the city and that they have to fix it, instead of painstakingly examining it and finding whatever the problems were.
The showmanship.
He's also could be worried about the reaction of Sanballat and
Yeah, that's
Tobiah,
definitely true also, yeah.
If he's coming up with a plan for reconstruction, then
Yeah.
that should be stealth about it until they know what they're going to do.
Okay. So we're up to Yotet. So speaking of Sanballat, so Vayishma Sanballat HaChoroni V'Tovia HaEved HaAmoni V'Geshem HaAravi. This is now a new third person. They hear the plan. What do? Vayal Igulanu Vayivzu Aleinu, and they mocked us and they disgrace us, something like that. So they're not reporting them to some higher non-Jewish official or trying to stop them, at least as of now. Right now, they're just mocking the Jews. Vayomer, and they're saying, "Ma davar zeh asher atem osim?" What do you think you're doing? Ha'al hamelech atem mordim? Are you trying to rebel against the king? Okay, and they're just sort of trying to discourage and stop them. Shiv otam davar, and so I responded to them. Nehemiah says, "V'amar lahem," and I said to them, "Elokei Hashemayim hu yatzliach lanu." The God of heaven, He will make us successful. V'anachnu avadav nakum ubaninu, and we His servants, we will get up and we will build it. V'lachem ein chelek utstaka v'zikaron Yerushalayim, and you will have no portion and no. Tzedakah doesn't mean charity; means like justice, no rights, no memory in Yerushalayim. We're going to do it, and you'll see, and you'll have no part in it.
All right. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Were they living in the city at the time?
Who's they? The Jews?
No. There's Sanballat, Tovia, and Geshem. These three guys. As my question is,
Yeah.
first of all, why
I'm
would
not
anyone
sure.
have a problem with the Jews rebuilding the wall?
Well,
Especially if they're living there.
right. So we're going to talk about what. So they were. We're talking in just a little bit who exactly they were, but they were. Again, there are sort of all these nationalities living there, and they were apparently belonging to one of the other groups, and the fear was the Jews are going to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, strengthen Jerusalem, and there were all these little villages and towns all around, and then they're going to become sort of the center, most powerful city, and then they're going to become the dominant group in the area.
So presumably they're from a nearby locale.
Yeah, probably, I guess. So they're probably not living in the city.
Yeah. And the other thing is, so his response to them isn't, I just came from the king and he said it was fine. It's,
You're
God's
right.
going to punish you.
You're right. You're right. It's interesting. And because Israel also, right, 'cause even though, right, they said, are you trying to rebel against the king? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That he just, maybe he's also, who's standing there? I'm just thinking now, like, is this just them talking to him, or like sort of the crowds of Jews standing there also sort of overhearing it, and he's sort of also, he's talking to Sanballat, right, but he's also, he's sort of talking to them also, like, interesting. Okay, now who was this Sanballat? This is also absolutely fascinating. Okay, now the next parak, which maybe we'll start, certainly not going to do, it talks about the rebuilding of the walls. And again, it's another one of these kinds of lists, because it's going to be, and this family rebuilt this section, and this family rebuilt this section. But again, in that list, there are tons of these really interesting tidbits. And again, both in terms of the families, and also it's describing the walls and different parts of the walls, and this gate and this tower and so forth. Okay, so who's the first person or group listed that will be of the rebuilders? So this is just the first pasuk of Perkim. Vayakam Eliashiv HaKohen HaGadol ve'achav HaKohanim. So Eliashiv was the Kohen HaGadol at the time, and his brothers, other Kohanim. They get up, Vayivnu et Shar Hatzon, and they build Shar Hatzon, the gate of the sheep. Okay, let's even not, we won't read any more right now. Okay, so Eliashiv, the Kohen Gadol. Okay, now, okay, Jeff, you want to look this up for me, or should I do it? Okay, turn to Perek Yud Bet of Nehemiah, the very end of Nehemiah.
Oh.
Yud Bet. No, actually Yud Gimel. I'm sorry, Yud Gimel.
Not Gimel,
Yud Gimel. Yud Gimel. Yud Gimel. I'll let you read it for dramatic effect. Pasuk Chaf Chet. It's the fourth to last pasuk in the book. Perek Yud Gimel. Pasuk Chaf Chet. Yoyada. Okay, so Yeshiva Kohen Gadol saying Eliashiv. Okay. Hachoroni. The Kohen Gadol was the son-in-law of Sanballat. Sanballat was the father-in-law of the Kohen Gadol. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
He's going to be like the main enemy in like the rest of the book.
Wait a minute,
This family gathering.
wait a minute, so he's a non-Jew?
So very good. So
Yes,
who
well,
is he?
talks
Right?
about
Is he
Thanksgiving.
Jewish? Is he not Jewish? So I don't know. It could be he's not.
Is he the product of one of these intermarriages?
Okay, very good. So one possibility is, that's actually a very reasonable possibility, that meaning it could be that but this is his father-in-law, meaning.
So he says Sanballat's mom might not have been Jewish.
No, Cohen
his
had to
wife's
marry a Jew.
Yeah, no.
Right.
This is his father-in-law, meaning so his wife, the Rebbetzin of the Kohen Gadol, maybe her father wasn't Jewish.
Or her father.
Well, she was a product of an intermarriage.
There's no
So that's-
rules. As long as the mother is Jewish, a Cohen can marry her. It doesn't have, yeah?
Let's generally
Probably,
speak.
yeah.
So,
Or not, right?
So, okay, that's one very interesting possibility. So, again, this Mefarish suggests that, already in Shua and Shoftim and Melachim, right, there are these other Shomron people that like sort of converted, and it wasn't clear if they really meant it, if they really converted, if it was a good conversion, the Kutim and all these people. So they say maybe he was like one of those people. So maybe he even did convert, or his ancestors converted, but he was these people that were Jewish. They also still worship their Avodah Zarah, and so one of these like confused family status. So, and then, I don't know, his daughter, though, was a nice Jewish girl, and she married the Kohen Gadol, or who ended up being the Kohen Gadol. But he personally, he continued to be an enemy of at least like the established Jewish community. We don't really know. It's interesting. But I like your
That daughter is a very interesting person.
Yeah.
I'm sure
So
if you got
why
to
is
know
it-
her, you know?
Why is it not brought up here?
I don't know. It's a good
This
question.
is like that would be the most dramatic and important way of telling us, you know. By the way, introducing all the people that love the story.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly have to read. I have to read why it's even brought up later. But yeah, I don't know. You have to read to the end, and then then you're like, oh wow, that changes everything. Okay, so let's continue just for a little bit more. Okay, Perek Gimel. See, I told you, isn't this an interesting, you know? Vayakam Eliashiv Kohen Gadol Lechav Kohanim. So Eliashiv and all the Kohanim, they get up. They knew it Shar Hatzon. They built Shar Hatzon. So let's just look on our map. We'll have to keep our maps for next time. So Shar Hatzon is right above the Beis Hamikdash. People see that? Which makes sense because, right, they're going to always be bringing in lots of sheep and animals for sacrifices. So there was a gate designated to bring the animals. So it's called Shar Hatzon. So they built Shar Hatzon. But then it says, Hema Kidshuhu, they sanctified it. Vayamidu Dal Totav, and they, put up the doors. And they built Va'ad Migdal Hame'ah. They built until the Tower of 100. Different opinions why that is. Maybe 100 soldiers would be stationed there. That's somewhere to the north. They don't really have that on this map. Kidshu, they sanctified that area. Ad Migdal Chananel, until the Tower of Chananel, again, which is somewhere towards the north. And then it continues, Val Yado, here means, and then next to that, like continuing along the wall, Banu Anshe Yericho, the community of Yericho built that next section. Val Yado Bana Zakkor Ben Imri, and then a certain Zakkor Ben Imri built the next section. Okay, now let's pause. Now if you skip to, for example, I don't know, Pasuk Zayin. Okay, people to see Pasuk Zayin. Pasuk Zayin says, Va'al Yadam Hechzik Milatia Hagivoni. And then in the next section, Milatia Hagivoni strengthened the wall. And for the rest of the parak, they're all Hechaziks, I believe. Al Yado Hechazik, Al Yado Hechazik. Everyone see that? Every pasuk Al Yadam Hechazik. So for the first 6 psukim or so, it talks about Banu, and then afterwards it's Hechazik. So the Mefarshim explain that Banu means build from scratch. There are certain parts of the wall that were just new sections. And Hachazik strengthen means refortifying the walls that existed, but were broken in parts or whatever it is. So if you look at the map, so starting from Shar Hatzon, so the description of the parak you'll see is going to be starting from Shar Hatzon and then going around, I guess that's counterclockwise. So from Shar Hatzon and then going counterclockwise, following like the white line wall, that northern section is all new. So that's why the first chunk of Perek Gimel we'll see, it's going to be talking about Banu, that this section they built, and then the next section they built. And then once you get to the, Shar Hapina, the corner gate, if you see that, and then the rest will all be Hachaziks, because the rest will just be again strengthening, fixing the wall, but it won't be building a new wall. And that's also why in this first section it talks about Kidshu, that they sanctified it, because with the extension of the wall, right, they're sanctifying new areas to be considered within the city of Yerushalayim. Right, and then that affects you're allowed to eat karbanos there, and you're allowed to do different things there. And so by building the wall, they were also sanctifying the area that would now be within the wall. So that's why also only in these first few psukim Perek Gimel it talks about sanctifying, because again, since they're adding to the area of Yerushalayim, they had to, and we'll see there'll be a big procession later on how they sanctify. What's the ritual that you need to do to sanctify areas when you add on to Shalim. But again, the rest, it won't.
That's fascinating, because we know that Yerushalayim itself has a special status of Kedusha. And the question is, like, when you add real estate, how do you elevate it? Or is it automatic? Or is it a political act?
Very good. We're going to talk about things. So that's going to be later in Book of Nehemiah, and there's some Mishnayos to talk about that. Partially, it's how to interpret
consecrating holy ground. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. What were you gonna say something?
I just asked. So this whole new part that's built, it's opposite sides from where Nehemiah was actually looking in.
You're right. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why he was specifically investigating the south. We'll see. Also, I can't remember if this comes up in Perek Gimel, but also I think we're just gonna stop here in the Pesukim. So maybe we just make a few more comments on the map. Because I don't want to get bogged down in the list here. But you'll see, let's say to the east of Yerushalayim, there's like a very steep, like it descends very sharply. Right?
Precipice, practically.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's like built on top of the hill. And then the south also, that's true. And to some degree, the west. But the north, it's not as true, certainly. Certainly, if you look at like, it's not true. Whether you're looking at the older northern border or the new northern border, it's just not really true. Mm-hmm. So that's why it was always easiest to attack Yerushalayim from the north, and that's why also someone can correct me if I'm not remembering the exact quote. So when Yirmiyahu, in his early prophecies of doom, saying, if you don't repent, right? So that one of them says, "Mitzafona tiftach ra," or something like that. The evil's going to come from the north. Mm-hmm. So that had more than one meaning, and at the time it wasn't even clear what it meant. So on one hand, it means from the north because Bavel, even though it's really northeast of Israel, but it's considered like Bavel is always viewed as like to the north of Israel. So he was saying the evil will come from the north, meaning from Bavel, but also it meant, or it could mean, maybe different people heard differently, meant like from the north, meaning like from the northern side of Yerushalayim, like that the evil is going to come from the north. So I think some people also, that's also why they want to enlarge the north, because
as a buffer.
Because the north was was the weakest in terms of defense. Because of that. Yeah. Okay, why don't we stop here unless there are any questions or comments, feel free. But okay, next week is Shavuos, and then
Hag Sameh.
Yeah, and then I was thinking today was Yom Yerushalayim, it was pretty appropriate.
You're supposed to say Hallel on Yom Yerushalayim?
We say Hallel.
You say half Hallel?
What's the minute of the show? We said whole Hallel. We said whole Hallel.
I said should I say it with you say the bracha or
we don't say we don't say with the bracha on the show. We say whole Hallel. We say without bracha.
I said half Hallel.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I said, what are you talking about? It's Hallel.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Bobby Wolf used to say that or something. I don't know.
I said to him, anything, maybe you want to call it half Hallel. We say it's Perkei Hallel. That makes no sense.
So we say, if you say the bracha, it's Hallel. If you don't say the bracha, it's just the property from Hallel.
I wasn't sure, so
Did you read my book?
I started it, yeah. Thank you, yeah.
You should finish it.